Buongiorno, Edge 9 è al Mobile World Congress 2024 di Barcellona, dove incontreremo diverse aziende protagoniste del settore delle telecomunicazioni per capire come si sta evolvendo il mercato. E in particolare chiederemo che cosa sta succedendo in ambito di 5G, intelligenza artificiale e cybersecurity. Vi anticipiamo già che un tema fondamentale di questo Mobile World Congress 2024 è il 5G Advanced, o come lo chiama Huawei 5.5G. E quindi, come dice sia il nome ufficiale che quello scelto da Huawei, significa una tappa importante di sviluppo per il 5G. Un po' una via di mezzo nella vita di questo standard prima che, fra diversi anni, arriverà poi il 6G. Edge 9 è al Mobile World Congress e incontriamo Udo Schneider di Trend Micro. Hello Udo, nice meeting you again. So, in 12 months, the TLC landscape has changed quite a bit. And the first thing is how AI has become an important factor in terms of security. How do you see this impacting the overall scenario?
Yeah. I think the main point talking about AI is that AI has become, generative AI has become so good, especially for cybercrime actors, that you basically can't trust anything anymore that you're seeing or hearing. So if you're on a call, if you get a voice message, you can't trust that voice message anymore. If you are on a conference call via video, for instance, you can't trust the picture, the video anymore. So you have to kind of adopt, the technical term would be some kind of zero trust strategy, even in interpersonal communication. I mean, now that we're standing here, we see each other personally, that's quite okay. I trust that you're there. If the same would take place over a conference call, I shouldn't be trusting that call anymore. And that makes so many processes so hard to verify.
But at the same time, AI can help in fight cybercrime and in making the environment more secure. Can you give us a few examples?
I think the best example would be, let's say you have an incident, or you think that you might have an incident. And nowadays you have lots of data and all the different security tools, and you have lots of log files, but it's quite hard to find that nugget of information in all the data. And that's where, generative AI can be your sparring partner. So I could ask a generative AI, well, I have the feeling, or I have the gut feeling there is something fishy in those log files. Can you help me finding something? Can you lead me? Can you guide me through a possible incident? And that's where generative AI helps the defender to find, this one piece of information, the nugget of information in this huge lake of data. So it helps you finding the stuff that you're searching for.
And we're at the Mobile World Congress. 5G is definitely one of the most important technology we're talking about here. And we're entering a new stage with the latest release from GSMA. Now we're talking about 5G Advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So new use case scenarios. How do you see these evolving, and what impact, if any, does it have on security?
I would say the main impact right now is that customers are asking for the promises that they were hearing for the last 4, 5, 6 years, especially promises regarding running, their own network functions on their own CPE equipment or on the edge, to use, the buzzword. And I think that's where many promises did fall short in the past, because yes, in theory, you could run those network functions, on provider equipment, but this required, sorry for the French, very large and beefy x86 machines. So you had half a rack of hardware just to be able to run network functions. And customers nowadays are requesting this network functions functionality, however, in a smaller form factor, because they want to run it on the edge. So they're requesting, different form factors, like running in a Docker container or running natively on smaller scale hardware, not just x86, but also ARM-based, for instance. So to make a long story short, customers are requesting the promises that, the industry promised them 5, 6, 7 years ago on, on the edge, and on a smaller form factor.
Edge 9 adesso è sempre al Mobile World Congress, allo stand di Ericsson, per parlare di come si stanno evolvendo le reti cellulari. So we've been hearing a lot about, in the last few days, about 5G Advanced. Can you tell us what it is and what it means for Ericsson?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as you said, now is the next step for 5G development is 5G Advanced. But what does exactly it mean? Maybe first a starting point, we have built the most powerful innovation platform that we have built so far, and that's 5G. In the last 5 years, we have kind of created this multi-layer deployment. We have the best capabilities in terms of performance, services, and all the potentials. For me, 5G Advanced is a time for scaling. It's time for unlocking all the benefits that we have developed in this platform, and it's to basically bring more performance, more services, more automation simplicity, and doing that in a more sustainable way. That's for us, 5G Advances. That's for us scaling 5G and bringing it to the next step, and is really bringing all the functionalities for operators to monetize, simplify their network deployment, and to really get the best potential that we have deployed from this network.
Perfect. But these capabilities will mean and bring value for customers if the operators can actually create new use case scenarios. And some of these scenarios have been promised to customers for a little bit of time, even from when 5G was first arriving on the market. Is this the right time for those use case scenarios to become real? And what do you think are going to be the 2 or 3 most important use cases?
Yes. No, you're right. I think we were very busy in the last 5 years to deploy the networks, but we already work on all the foundations. We already have network slicing. We already have the capabilities for the best performance. We already have capabilities for differentiating between users. But I think what 5G Advanced will do with the SA and the background to be able to unlock multiple opportunities. So first of all, it will enable new type of devices that we didn't have before. We only have smartphones until now. But 5G Advanced will unlock new use cases like RedCap, like IoT devices. It will scale deployments to enterprise much for different applications. But it will also enable in the consumer domain what we call differentiated experience, and that is based on programmability. So which means that 5G Advanced will actually bring an adaptable, programmable network so the operators can actually create a service-aware network and SLA-driven connectivity. So that will bring additional opportunities for operators to unlock and bring new monetization. So I really believe it is a big transformation step, and I agree we have been waiting for too long. But now I think deployments are ready, SA being launched, devices are there, with release 18 there, and I think the opportunities will be immense in terms of bringing more and more use cases, both for consumers, but also for enterprises, by the highest and most important programmable network that we are building.
Perfect. And to wrap it up, we cannot skip the AI topic. Everybody is talking about AI. I was particularly interested in how Ericsson is actually using AI in the development of its products and services.
Yes. So I think for me, the AI development or deployment from Ericsson is actually in the 2 categories. And that one is how we are using AI for our portfolio. That basically the solution that we deliver to our CSPs and customers to really solve real-time problems. But the second is how are we using AI and Gen AI for our development, and it's completely for our own efficiency and to be agile and much faster. In the portfolio, and I think when you just look into the complexity in the networks we are running today, and also now we're looking billions of devices, we have customized performance for each. We simply cannot run the network with this huge complexity as is today. So we are bringing solution in basically any dimension using AI. We have AI-based features that making the sleep decisions for energy efficiency. We have using AI for performance improvement, like all the layer in the layer 1, layer 2. But we are also using AI, which is much more interesting, more in this network level problem solutions using our SMO platform, where the data is available in network scale. And here you will be seeing more and more, I think you will actually see it in Barcelona, like our proof points, how AI is already incorporated in our portfolio that we are delivering our customers. But as I said, in addition, in the back of our mind and back of we are actually also using AI for our own development. And again, this is very important for Ericsson to stay competitive and deliver solutions much faster to our customers. So it's an indirect benefit to our CSPs because we want to be much faster delivering the best product to the market.
Edge 9 è ancora al Mobile World Congress di Barcellona e adesso è il turno di incontrare Verizon. Buonasera.
Buonasera Vittorio.
Eccoci qua a un anno di distanza per vedere come si sta evolvendo la tecnologia e in particolare partirei dal 5G, che con l'arrivo del 5G Advance non solo apporta delle evoluzioni tecnologiche, ma arriva proprio in una nuova fase di evoluzione che abilita nuovi scenari d'uso.
Per noi è stato un anno incredibile il 2024. Abbiamo avuto un'esplosione di 5G. 5G sia in lato pubblico che in lato privato. In lato pubblico quello che è incredibilmente successo è l'esplosione dell'utilizzo di Fixed Wireless Access o Broadband on Wireless. Sempre più società, sempre più aziende utilizzano connettività wireless per collegare negozi, per collegare sedi, per collegare filiali di banche. E oggi ci sono molte sedi che sono principalmente e unicamente su connettività wireless. Quindi c'è stato un cambiamento di mentalità. Mentre prima wireless era considerato un elemento di backup, oggi è diventato nel sentore comune un tipo di connettività principale per il business. L'altro aspetto è 5G privato, quindi parliamo di 5G su spettro riservato che si applica a venues, a stadi, a location, a warehouse, a sedi manifatturiere e anche ad ospedali.
Un altro tema fondamentale in questo momento è l'evoluzione dell'intelligenza artificiale, che si porta dietro però la necessità di avere una capacità elaborativa sempre maggiore, non solo nel data center ma anche nell'edge. Questo sta un po' cambiando le strategie di quante risorse si dedicano all'edge e come l'edge poi si collega con gli altri elementi della rete, corretto?
Sì, è corretto. Ogni cliente oggi sta cercando di capire come usare l'intelligenza artificiale. L'intelligenza artificiale di fatto consente di automatizzare dei processi che sono oggi in vigore e che cambiano completamente. Quindi sia processi di generative AI che più traditional AI. Quello che succede è portare l'intelligenza artificiale all'edge, perché lì è dove crei valore. Questo cosa significa? Significa che devi raccogliere informazioni, elaborare informazioni, produrre output che poi vengono utilizzati per prendere decisioni. Ora, il proliferare di GPU all'edge è un fenomeno che sta esplodendo, però quello che succede è che per portare questi processi all'utente finale devi avere connettività, perché è impensabile e non è scalabile portare il costo di una GPU sulla singola sede. Quindi si sta sviluppando questo processo all'edge dove tutta l'intelligenza e tutti i processi di AI vengono consolidati e poi è necessario portare questa intelligenza, remotizzare questa intelligenza alla sede finale, che può essere la casa di un dipendente o che può essere un branch o che può essere un negozio. Quindi ancora una volta la connettività è diventato un elemento fondamentale per usufruire del valore dell'intelligenza artificiale.
Perfetto. Sempre più risorse, sempre più device, sempre più collegati direttamente alla rete 5G, si potrebbe pensare che si crea anche un problema di sicurezza, perché vanno gestiti e bisogna fare in modo che non diventino un punto debole della catena. Come cambia gestire la sicurezza adesso che tutti questi device sono collegati o saranno collegati direttamente alla rete 5G?
Questo è un tema fondamentale, quello della sicurezza, perché ovviamente più punti hai di accesso e più apri, diciamo, il perimetro per potenziali attacchi. Quello che la rete wireless porta è una sicurezza intrinseca, perché noi come operatore abbiamo la disponibilità dello spettro, gestiamo le comunicazioni end-to-end e quindi abbiamo un più semplice controllo della sicurezza rispetto a una rete wireline che è una rete completamente aperta dove ci sono miliardi di ISP e miliardi di operatori che rendono difficile il controllo della comunicazione. Quindi lasciami dire che wireless è intrinsecamente più sicuro e poi lavorando su uno spettro dedicato hai ancora più possibilità di controllare l'accesso a quelli che si chiamano i bad actors.
Edge 9 nel suo giro al Mobile World Congress 2024 adesso è nello stand di VMware. what we're looking at here at Mobile World Congress is an evolution of 5G. And it seems like the edge is becoming the link between all the various pieces. Do you think this is right? And how is VMware approaching the evolution of the edge?
So everything that we see happening at the edge is really about enabling enterprises go through digital transformation. And the way VMware is looking at the edge is really around providing the digital infrastructure, the distributed digital infrastructure to allow applications and endpoints thrive in this new environment. Right? And so it's really about driving a software-defined edge that supports the right-sized infrastructure that is programmable and that is easy to provision. So that's really our vision and our focus for the edge. Now, the way that plays into everything happening with 5G is really providing that tight connectivity and tightly secured infrastructure to connect everything that's happening at the edge to in this highly distributed environment.
And here at the VMware booth, we can see an ambulance.
That's right.
Is that an example of how all the technologies are coming together?
Yes, absolutely. So what we have on the show floor with that ambulance truly encapsulates a very specific edge use case in healthcare, right? So what we have in that ambulance is an edge native application running using video analytics to support things like virtual care, whether it's around making sure you have the right amount of supplies and inventory, all the way to having a clinical specialist actually potentially support the triage of a patient when they're being transported within that ambulance to a trauma center, as an example. Right within that ambulance, we also have our SD-WAN intelligent overlay network that is providing critical connectivity to applications and others who need to communicate from that ambulance to the hospital or trauma center. And then the third layer of what's actually happening within that ambulance is actually bringing to bear resilient connectivity. So in that ambulance, there's actually a dual SIM, there's multiple 5G connectivity that is actually allowing that ambulance to securely and more resiliently send traffic back and forth, and also securing that traffic.
Securing is a very important keyword right now because so many devices are connecting directly to the network. And we're now seeing an integration between several technologies owned by Broadcom. And one of these integration is actually on security with the integration of the Symantec platform. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So at this show, we're actually announcing VeloCloud SASE, secured by Symantec. And it is a single vendor SASE solution that brings to bear our industry-leading VeloCloud SD-WAN together with the industry-defining SSE stack from Symantec. And we've put this together in such a way that it's easy to provision, it's easy to orchestrate, and we're allowing traffic that is coming from our SD-WAN fabric, whether it's from a branch or from a user that's on the road, be highly secure as these users are accessing applications.
And to wrap it up, we cannot skip AI, which is the other important trend right now. Can you tell us about how VMware is enabling enterprises to leverage on AI and how VMware is actually using AI in its development?
Yeah. So one of the core tenets that we keep seeing and we acknowledge is the fact that our customers, as they think about workloads in this very distributed environment, those workloads need to be able to be AI aware, all right? And so within our edge compute underlying substrate, it's built with an eye towards the fact that our customers will always want to continue to evolve down that AI paradigm. So that's one thing. And then the product and the service we run itself also leverages a lot of AI around telemetry, around inferencing, to really allow us to develop and deliver a proactive service that is, is root cause aware, and all of those things. And so we're, on the one hand, allowing our customers to develop AI workloads like video analytics, and then on the other hand, we ourselves bring AI in the service that we're delivering to our customers as well.
Edge 9 prosegue il suo viaggio al Mobile World Congress 2024 incontrando Fortinet. So there are several trends that kind of interact between the evolution of 5G and the evolution of cybersecurity. And one is that with 5G Advanced, these so-called red cap devices will connect directly to the 5G network. Does that pose a threat in terms of security? And how do you think enterprises should handle this?
So I think there's always a double-edged sword here, right? So you have these red cap devices, which are more limited in footprint and nature. They're direct to the 5G network. So it takes some of that attack surface out because you're not dealing with threats that are directly trying to attack through and address it through Wi-Fi networks and discovery and so forth. So that helps. It's a good layer of security, but I also like to not add too many safety blankets in the to create an illusion effect, right? Because you always have to look at the whole ecosystem. So having a red cap device, you still need to look at those devices and the supply chain and how you're hardening those devices. Secure by design, as an example, that mitigates the risk further. So it's not just by having one of these devices that we're going to be secure. And then looking at the actual tunneling and the traffic, the signal itself, right, on through 5G. Where is that 5G core? What security inspections are being put in place there? Because at the end of the day, attackers, if there's a signal and a way to these devices, they're going to be, as we see this all the time with FortiGuard Labs, trying to scan those devices, look for security holes so they can compromise it. These red cap devices, it's a good step forward because as you get more limited footprint on devices, that means that attackers need to target these. They need to develop payload for that. It takes some time, and it's coming, right, as those are more rolled out. So as there's more mass adoption that happens, the attacks will follow, but we have to prepare for that now, essentially. And then I know we talked about this, but going back to where is the 5G, there's also now this complication of private 5G networks as well.
And one other element which is becoming an integral part of the old ecosystem is the edge.
Yes.
I mean, we're called Edge 9, so we kind of anticipated that. But right now, it really seems to be the point where 5G and IT kind of meet together. And that's an environment which is kind of diverse. And does this fit into your overall strategy of how to secure in general the network and devices, or does it need special attention?
Yeah, so whether it's an edge device, so when we talk about edge, it's no matter the location, because these edges there's no such thing as perimeter, as we talked about. Those are everywhere. We have IoT devices, IoT devices, the red cap devices we talked about, custom edge compute. All of this comes down to still the same aspect of how are those devices trusted? So this gets into zero trust and SSE, secured services edge, which then goes into unified SASE now, right? So it's from no matter where you are, what device that is, the same concept applies. Like we've been building in the security world, all these layers on to handle this exact use case, right? Whether it's the mobile phone or edge device, it doesn't matter. It's still going through that same architecture. So you don't have to customize anything just for the edge nowadays. Yeah.
Well, you touched upon private 5G networks, and those are kind of an interesting mix that again puts different elements together. Do you see those as a potential target for attacks in the future?
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you look at where these are being rolled out, it's not in small and medium businesses. This is in large enterprise you're dealing with. Things like manufacturing and mining, as an example, defense space as well too. Those are now the modern targets of cyber criminals and APT state actors. So it's sort of a perfect storm in a sense, right? Because you have already these targets that attackers are looking at, and then with private 5G networks, it's another aspect of the attack surface. That comes with benefits, of course, but there's also things that still you need to look at. How are you just like a 5G core? Security absolutely applies to that. How are you securing that? Inspecting all the signals. There's a lot of APIs. You have Open RAN also in between, all these things to look at.
And we cannot end our conversation without talking about AI. I mean, AI is becoming prevalent and mainstream. We're starting to see attackers using deepfake to test things out. How do you see the evolution of the threats, and how also on the defender side, how do you leverage on AI in order to counter those new threats?
Yeah, so attackers are still following the path of least resistance. So I think, yes, we have seen some cases of deepfakes. It's still going to take a while, though, until we see mass adoption of that. They're really using it for social engineering to enhance phishing and spear phishing attacks. So that's something, again, we have technology already. In fact, artificial intelligence, machine learning to defend against that. So it's important to deploy from a defender standpoint, but I think we actually have the advantage because we've invested a lot into AI and ML, whereas the attackers have not quite gotten there yet, right? So it's an opportunity for us to get ahead in that perpetual arms race that we find ourselves in.
La nostra visita al Mobile World Congress 2024 continua e adesso incontriamo Palo Alto Networks. So the main topic here at Mobile World Congress 2024 is the evolution of 5G. They call it 5G Advanced, 5.5G. But anyway, it seems like it's realizing its true potential. What is your point of view from Palo Alto's perspective?
We're seeing a lot of improvement in customers using 5G, both consumer and enterprises. And our goal is to ensure that service providers can secure their 5G infrastructure across all locations, across all the enforcement points, entire life cycle of security. That's one. The second is that as service providers are now working with enterprises to roll out 5G deployments for factory floors, for utilities, for oil and gas, for smart cities, for public sector, etc., how do you ensure that you have a secure private 5G solution, which can provide them all visibility into all devices? You have in factory floors, you have OT devices, as you know, which are connected with 5G. How do you ensure that you have full visibility who's on the network, and then securely connect each of these devices and provide security across all layers? Application layer, management layer, data plane, control plane, on radio infrastructure, roaming, on the internet side, across the entire life cycle. And that's what it's all about.
Perfect. And the other topic we cannot skip is AI. AI is everywhere, even too much maybe, but it's still here to stay. What is your point of view on the role of AI in the landscape, in the security landscape?
AI plays a very crucial role in cybersecurity, right? And we've been using AI at Palo Alto Networks for now over a decade, right? To ensure that you can detect threats that have never been seen before, what the industry calls day zero threats, right? And that we have over 4,400 machine learning models on our network security platform that can detect and block attacks exactly where they are, from threat prevention, phishing protection, malware prevention, ransomware prevention, data and SaaS security, IoT security, across all aspects of network security. The second aspect of AI is around the use of large language models. And we're using that for our co-pilots to ensure our customers can use the platform to the best of its capabilities, right? Optimize their configuration, optimize their operation, reduce the total cost of operations for the environment, and get a much better security outcome. Network security today is complex, it's fragmented. Our job with the network security platform is to simplify and unify it to help our customers focus on what they do best, help them make more money, reduce their operational costs, help them save money, and provide them real-time security outcomes, which means that keep them out of trouble.
And to make things even more complex is the evolution of the edge, which is becoming prominent in most use case scenarios. How you manage to maintain high level of user experience, but still keep security also at the edge?
Yeah, when it comes to the edge, with Secure Access Service Edge, we're bringing in networking and security together to offer a massively distributed cloud service to ensure that users can be anywhere, applications can be anywhere, they can be on any device, managed or unmanaged, over any network. And when they access any application or data, they're consistently secure. That's the power of SASE, and built into SASE will be autonomous digital experience management, which has synthetic traffic generation from user to application. So we have segment by segment visibility, and we're able to give you all information on operational health, security information, about what's happening to a given user to help you self-heal this entire environment, reduce your operational costs, and get you to a better operational and security state.
So to wrap it up, it seems like the only approach that is now efficient is a platform approach, right?
Because network security today is complex, it's fragmented. By adopting a platform approach, you can secure across all enforcement points, provide consistent security, no matter where the users are, no matter where the applications are, no matter what device you're on. And that's the power of the network security platform.
Viaggio di Edge 9 al Mobile World Congress 2024 di Barcellona, fa tappa da IBM. So, what is IBM's point of view on the current evolution of 5G with the arrival of the 5G Advanced 5.5G generation?
So 5G definitely now has moved from that promise to starting to deliver. Operators are going to have to look at providing more than just connectivity. It needs to be value add on top of the connectivity, and enterprise customers are looking for what operators can provide. We have had interviews as part of Telecom 2030 where execs and CSPs have acknowledged that if it becomes a commodity battle, that is not something they can win on. So the need to move up the stack and provide value is a crucial element. So I do believe that over the next few years, certainly getting up to 2030, we will see a proliferation of 5G as the older networks are switched off. And we should be seeing some of the benefits from things like private 5G networks that has been talked about, but not yet scaled up as we'd like.
As the network grows and the perimeter disappears, securing the network is becoming more and more difficult, but at the same time more important. And what is your IBM's point of view on security?
Security is one of the most critical elements for the telecom industry. So as part of our 2030 report, one of the things that we found from 1,800 plus telecom execs in 23 countries was that they all acknowledged that security, cybersecurity, was going to become a critical factor for 2030. However, when we asked them what are they doing about it, only half of them were actually actioning this. We think that it is critical for the security not just of the network devices, but of the edge, of the data, as the data is going on, AI is going on to hardware, looking at the full stack, securing it is critical. AI can play a role in cybersecurity as well. So that's what we feel is the role for cybersecurity.
And you use the magic word now, which is AI.
Yeah.
And it's strange because IBM has been at the forefront of AI for decades.
Yeah.
And now everybody is talking about it, maybe even too much. But what is IBM's point of view on the evolution of generative AI in particular?
So 2023 was the year of large language models. 2024, we are seeing the emergence of both open source and small language models. But there's a lot of innovation happening in this space. So small language models are where instead of getting to 1 trillion token parameter huge models, we're getting to much smaller models. But the evolution, I would take the analogy of the first brick mobile phone to the sleek phones we have today. We will see a version of that in generative AI. There are things such as mixture of experts where a group of small language models are being found to be as effective as a very huge large language model, and they have a lot of benefits that come from that as well.
Il viaggio di Edge 9 al Mobile World Congress 2024 continua allo stand di Red Hat. 5G is evolving. We're talking about 5G Advanced right now, and there are new use case scenarios. But underlying of this, we still have data, we still have workloads that need to be moved around. And that virtual network functions that are an integral part of the evolution of 5G run more and more on containers. And Red Hat is offering the leading platform for managing containers. How do you see this landscape evolving and the role of Red Hat?
So the role of Red Hat, we've been kind of changing and disrupting a little bit what has been happening in the open source world, taking everything that we learn in the IT world, bringing it to 5G and networks. We did it with the network function virtualizations, as you said, while using initially virtual machines, now containers to run that. And now we're using the containers to move into the edge. And the containers are helping us to do that computation closer to the radio access networks.
And it's now about compute and data. What are the trends that you're seeing there on how compute is evolving and where data should be and how it should be managed to align to this evolution of 5G?
Yeah, so what we are observing, I think containers, what they did is to commoditize computation. So computation, there is an excess of computation suddenly happening as well on the edge. We've been having companies that they had a lot of compute power that it wasn't being used. Now that we can move that computation through containers, we can take that computation closer to the data. And this is what we see, is that the computation is becoming more and more used on the edge, so that then we don't need to move the data as much as we needed before. We don't need to send it from your local premises in your company to the cloud and back. So we can do it directly on those company premises.
And with all this data moving around, all this computational power floating around, managing the security of the network, it's becoming, let's say, more difficult. For example, now with the new iteration of 5G, we have RedCap, reduced capabilities devices that were first behind the gateway, that are now directly connected to the network. What is your suggestion for keeping data and the infrastructure secure?
So I think we are more aware about security than ever before. So as you said, these new devices are trying to reduce the attack surface, which is always a good thing. But then we need to have security. Everybody needs to be aware about security. The Red Hat approach is providing the right tools and trying to make it as simple as possible so that people can use with highly trusted software supply chain. We think from the beginning about those processes that are going to be running on those new secure networks like 5G, better designed than ever, but still, if we don't have the right processes running there, your security is going to be as strong as your weakest link. And this is what we are doing from our approach. For Red Hat, security has been in the DNA forever. We come from the original Linux distribution, building security into it. And now what we have been doing lately is to expose everything that we've been learning internally, all those tools, making it available to our partners, our customers, so they can use it. But we need everybody to think about security. It's not just the operators, it's not just about us. So.
Perfect. And I'd like to wrap this up with your point of view on AI and how it is evolving and how you've been using it for a long time, and how do you see the usage of AI evolving for Red Hat and the role it plays in the environment?
I think we discussed about, telecom networks have enabled connectivity everywhere. That exists, and we need even more of that. What I can see that the AI and the new machine learning and everything is going to be happening closer to the edge because of that excess of computational power, but also because we can move the compute power. So, as I mentioned before, compute is commodity. The data is not a commodity anymore. One of the things that we've been doing, and it is unnecessary today, is moving data up and down, moving it to the cloud, back to our premises. I think what will happen at some point is that a lot of that data is going to be processed on the customer premise, and instead of moving it around, it will stay there. And then what you will really connect is with everybody that is your peers, that you have business relationships or some kind of trust relationship between people. So.